We are back on stage 3, the race analysis with Jake. Initially I thought that it will be one single video, but eventually we've been talking so much that it will be 3 separate videos for each stage. Jake is from Topp Cycling and he has some training experience in his luggage. He had a lot of insights in the first and second race analysis, and today we will see what the wrap will be. So Jake, our plan for stage 3 was to not push from the start and then leave everything for the later. Have you watched any flybys like you did in past stages?
I have.
And what are your observations before I start telling you what happened?
We said that you should attack these top climbs, right? Not go too hard at the start, and then it was like this section of the race we said you should go really hard. 3:12 normalized, half an hour, 3:33. So I think you attacked it pretty well, especially in this bit. Yeah, it was quite a lot of big efforts where you're doing like over 700 watts, 800 watts, hitting those little climbs, like we said. Did you feel like you attacked them more than you had done all week?
They were different kind, most often. They were like smaller ones where, being a bit bigger guy, you can come to the middle based from the speed you collected from the past downhill descent, and then you have to add just a tiny bit more to finish it, to roll through the top and continue going on the next one. So at least in one place my weight maybe gave me some benefits. But if we start from the beginning, I don't know how and why, but I always appear in the place at the starting gate where something happens. The whistle was blown, everyone started pushing, and then one guy, after he already clipped in, unclipped his pedals in front of me. Like, it was a blink of a second, but that was enough already for gap to open up a bit. On the tarmac there was quite a huge gap already from the first guys. On stage 3 I think M30 being merged with juniors maybe, so the starting gate was bigger. It was quite clear already that no one is going to wait for anyone, and they were pushing like it was probably the biggest effort of the whole group compared to previous days.
That's also not surprising, right?
Yeah, exactly. So everyone just went all gas.
Go a lot harder.
Exactly at this place, I was after one guy. I raced with him in other races last year. I recall that he's the same guy. And I'm like, all right, I can follow his wheel. And then I see that he's pushing a bit not hard enough that I would want to. And then I left that wheel, but it was already like 10 seconds too late or something like that. It wasn't nothing major, just it was no longer feasible to catch the group in front. And then, you know, on the climbs, even though we want to stay conservative, you just still push pretty much as hard as you can. Actually, while driving to the start, I thought that if I'm going to be super conservative at the start, that's for sure I'm not going to gain anything more towards the end. And we can see that that was what happening already. So if I were to be conservative at the start, ending probably wouldn't give me any much of benefits.
It looks like you lost consistently throughout the day. You didn't lose much at the end again.
Yeah.
And in this section you did just lose a bit of time. But did you lose more time here than the rest? I don't think so. And then you didn't really lose any time on this bit.
Yeah, it was technical. This part between the top spike and the last bottom place were pretty much technical in the tracks most of the time.
But it looks like it's this middle section where you did lose the most time.
Yeah, so again, climbing out of harder sections.
Was it a technical climb or was it kind of gravel roads?
There were like gravel, few hundred meters of something a bit technical, and then again gravel. So it's hard to tell which was
Yeah.
exactly here. But anyways, even though the stage had almost 700 meters of elevation, it was quite technical and it was fast. Like, you follow someone in the single track, which is all good. You see what he's doing, you can make adjustments, etc. You see that he's disappearing, like out of drop somewhere disappeared, and you follow from behind and you expect that hopefully you will disappear successfully as well, because there was one section, it was a drop and I couldn't see what's at the bottom of it, and once I noticed, I saw that there are rocks there. Like, I'm already almost ready to take off and there's stones, rocks at the bottom, so I don't know, somehow I managed to jump through them. But it's worth mentioning that I've been without inserts, so I took one insert with me in the luggage, but eventually I haven't added it. Well, I haven't expected the wheels, maybe they are broken already, but it doesn't seem to be, so I survived without the inserts.
And do you think you did well overall? Are you pleased with your result overall?
Overall of the day?
As in throughout the 3 days?
I would say probably in terms of the result in general, I would have expected a bit better. But considering how fierce and competitive everyone was, as good as it could have been. I would say that my overall time was 7 hours 10 minutes or something like that. 5 to 10 minutes it could have been faster in total, but nothing more.
5-10 minutes, that's going to save you. Yeah, you're still on the same page.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm saying that guys were just fast.
To get in the top 10 of the M30, you have to be in the top like 40 of the race. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah. Top
47.
50. Let's call it this way.
That's 20 minutes quicker, which is, I guess, quite a big difference. We sent some text back and forth before the first stage, and I was like, oh, 20%. If you get within 20% of the winner, then that's a good result. And I thought if you were within 20% of the winner, maybe it'd be like 50th overall. But obviously the standard throughout the race is very high.
How do you calculate the percentages? I thought about this other day. Hours into minutes and then calculate, or how you do
so,
that?
Yeah, the minutes, just like 20% of the minute. So you make it all minutes and then add 20%.
Yeah, makes sense. And how are you adding
The winner's
20%? Multiplying by 1.2?
Yeah.
Now I will know your secret.
And you were about 11-12% from the winner of the category.
But it's worth mentioning that he was quite fast compared to other podium guys, like 10 minutes.
Third was 15 minutes behind. But I think when you look at, okay, how can you make a judgment on whether it was a good race for you, you look at, okay, your previous results, your most recent results, and then, how does your performance compare to that? And like overall, your performance is very similar to in January. And so I think, you performed as I'd expect you to.
And the result is just a reflection of our participants, I would say it this way, because when you see so much people in the starting list with 2 names and surname, you know that they are most likely from Spain and they are damn good. All 3 stages had the same finish. Like last 3 kilometers or so were identical, maybe even more. And on 3rd stage there was 2 guys with me. One went through and disappeared, other was together, but then he put the pedal and then he also disappeared. And I'm like holding 300 something watts and it's not seeing anything beneficial for me, and I almost wanted to give up. Like, not terminally give up, but just let it off a bit. But I noticed that on slight uphill that guy is struggling a bit, so I added a bit more, then a bit more, and eventually I catched him on the last the finish was in the stadium, so we have ellipse and then final sprint. So on that round part he went in front, and then I stayed together with him, and then the last straight attacked as much as I could, even though he was from different age group, meaning that he started 1 minute down, so he was already in front of me. But that adding the last bit of effort kind of made me feel good in general about the race, rather than when you finish kind of the flow emotion, then it drags a bit into the future as well. But then you finish at high note, even though it's whatever position, then it's just emotionally more beneficial. Means nothing in general, but it means something as well.
Yeah, you feel good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But to add this to overall feeling about stage 3, in the evening I was dead. Like,
Yeah.
I've been climbing those steep parts a lot while standing, and putting a lot of power through them, like low cadence, because my back was also hurting, so low cadence and just power through it. And in the evening the leg said that, yep, because it's worth mentioning that we're recording this on the next day after the finish.
I mean, it's good that you felt empty on the final day. Like, that's the day you want to feel empty.
Yeah, exactly.
It hurts, and afterwards you paced it well. Also means, like, whenever you have those evenings where you're like really, really tired and it takes a lot to recover from, you're going to get, like, that's where your body makes you stronger. So it's going to have a good effect.
Yeah, so we actually going to talk a lot more about training in our podcast, Crafted for Speed, which is kind of a good time to mention that there are 2 episodes already, and upcoming about training is incoming soon. So if you haven't watched them yet, be sure to shuffle through your playlist. Actually, they are also in the Spotify.
We have at least one listener on Spotify.
So Jake, do you have anything else to add about Volcat?
I had a look at the first one today. It looks good fun. Like, I think you said there seems like there's loads of nice single track. It looks like a good race. Like, it's one I'd like to do.
Exactly.
And actually, I think if I'd struggle, because it's all single track. It's not necessarily technical, but you have to be able to ride quickly.
Yeah, don't lose the
through
speed.
The single track. And I think, yeah, that's where I kind of, I would benefit a lot from doing a race like that, because I'd have to do a lot of stuff I don't normally get to do.
So this third stage had quite a few sections where it's hard to climb them. Do you have assumption how and why people don't do them? Like, why they go off the bike? One of mine was that they think that it's impossible and they just better walk it. Other was that maybe they're using too big chain rings, and then on the flats it gives them that benefit of speed, but on the steep ends they are not just able to power through it. What would be your take? Why people who normally, well, they are ahead of me in the race all the time, on those steep parts they are like sometimes not good enough? Why so? That just don't fit in my mind.
Your biggest strength from riding with you, right? I have noticed your biggest strength is your technical climbing. Like, that's where you're, of all the like technical abilities of a mountain biking, you seem good at technical, tough climbing.
Do you think it's technique, a matter of technique?
Technique, confidence and technique. Whereas the other thing I was going to say was, so if I know that, okay, this bit's really tough, it's a tough climb, and I don't know whether I've seen it before or not, I would jump off early, because I know that I'll lose less time just like committing to walking first, walking up and then jumping back on, than trying to ride, getting stuck, trying to go again, getting stuck. So I would be one of the guys that's like just jumping off and just try and run up the climb.
Yeah, so probably the other bit could be that they just eliminating the risk and winning
so.
few seconds in that way. Because normally very rarely I gain anything on them.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing, because there were also sometimes when I see that others just like sometimes in the trails there are step either through the rock or through the roots, which if you are just not timely mannered in that location, you will get off the bike. So they notice that, they go off the bike and they walk through it, go on the bike and continue, while I pedal through it, and basically nothing changes. The gap remains the same.
Yeah.
So that's also kind of stubbornness, which does not give any benefits.
And I actually find when you do something really technical and steep and hard, it's harder to try and ride it than it is to walk it. And the speed difference is not. And so actually if you try and ride it and get over it, your heart rate's like maximum. Whereas if you just walk, then your heart rate's.
But then walking on steep sections, it's also like heart rate goes up as well, because you are
a little bit, but not as much. Not as much. But I would prefer, if I could ride it, I'd prefer to be able to ride it. And it's good to try in training or in the recons, but in a race, it's like you just do whatever's quicker.
I remembered one thing. There was a bridge through the river, and in order to get on it, there was really high step from one side and even higher from the other. So it was on stage 1 and stage 3. So that one, which is a bit lower, I knew that I can try it, like go front, get front wheel up, and then just pull the rear. So everyone just went off the bikes and rolled through it. I tried it and I successfully did it from that lower side. And on the stage 3, there was one guy, Spanish one, from Masters 50. And I know that he's trials coach, and I knew exactly that he's going to do it, even that bigger one. And he just stayed stationary on the bike, waited while others walked through, and then he just did it. Like, but it was, I don't know, probably wheel high obstacle, maybe slightly lower, but that was like proper one. And he did it like nothing. And the main issue there was that the bridge itself was quite narrow. So, if it would be wide, you would have leverage with the handlebars, etc. While there it was like pretty much few centimeters from the handlebars. And he did it like nothing.
I think, when you have like really good control over the bike, you don't expend as much energy doing those things because you're more relaxed and it's easier and you know where to power. And that's where I really struggled. What's the next stage race?
Stage race, still unknown. One is to go to France, but I'm considering that maybe I should dismiss those because the climbs there, 1,000 meters, single chunk, and I don't know whether I want to experience that. So that's one thing. The other is I kind of considering Andorra Epic with one guy. We kind of talked about this, but still not exactly sure. But I think that it would be nice, mostly through the content perspective. But the guy who talked about this is significantly stronger than me. So that would be I for me once again. And I'm not exactly sure whether I want it. Maybe that's enough of stage racing. What do you think?
No, only April. I have to get my experience of the stage racing through you now because I can't do it.
But in general, I think that stage racing is kind of what allows you to check where you are in terms of your endurance level. Single day races are fine, are nice, but it's just not the same beast. Again, thanks a lot, Jake, for joining. It will be not only beneficial for me, but also for the viewers, how to approach race strategies and how to plan your efforts. Everyone can say push as hard as possible on the first climb and then somehow, which is kind of true, but there's other bits which comes after it, which I'm thankful for you to sharing your observations.
Well, here's a question then. So do you think doing this every after every stage helped you get a better result than if we hadn't have done?
Hard to tell because
No, you're supposed to say yes.
probably it gave me thought to consider. That gave me some additional information to process, and whether it was beneficial or not, I would say probably yes. Because
Yeah, it's hard to say, isn't it? Because you
yeah, it's
haven't
hard
done
to
it
say,
now, so
but at
it's
the
hard
same
to say,
time,
but
based on that, you are looking to the profile of the race just a bit different. One is just to see, all right, there's a climb, blah, 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 blah. And then you start to planning your effort based on that. I think one very good thing was to checking in training peaks by sections, what was my effort. While you could see that in Strava by bars, where you see that it's downgrading, etc. But those precise selections of the data was also, I think, beneficial to know where I struggled or not necessarily. So yeah, that was also
yeah.
a good one.
If you have a plan, you're sort of more confident
Yeah.
in what you're doing the next day. When things happen around you in the race, like maybe this guy pulls his pedal out, or there's a crash, or someone goes the wrong way. Something might happen in the race, but if you have a really clear plan of what you're going to do, it's much easier to like block that out and just focus on what you're doing, which ultimately will lead to a better result than it would if stuff starts going wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could also add one other bit is that during stage one, I was a bit pissed off by others. And if I would do that race analysis alone, where, hey, that guy didn't allow me to go through, blah, blah, blah. So it would be just me nagging, and that's pretty much it. Where in the conversation, I was able to spot my flaws as well in those type of situations. And then you spot something bad, then it's up to you whether you want to change it or not, but at least you have a chance. Where if you just complain and don't find the root issue there, then nothing is gonna help you, and next time you're going to behave same way. Whether I'm going to behave the same way, no guarantees, but at least I have a chance to change.
It's a good point. It's a really good point, because you were frustrated. That was the first thing that you said. Like, the first thing on stage one was you were frustrated with all this, but you never mentioned it again. It never came up. The next two stages, it was never a problem.
Yeah.
So it's like we did it, we fixed it, and it was never a problem. Whereas maybe if we'd never done that, it would be a problem every day.
Yeah. Maybe I also appeared in the situations where it was not that much exaggerated, or for example, those situations were fixed by others, where like I'm going into the climb and someone who moves aside even gives me a push. Like, it's very kind of them, especially for example in stage 3. There were a few guys who went off the bike, and like in a blink of a second they moved aside. You don't even have to tell them anything, because they know that others are from behind, so they are just fixing that immediately, and that was also super nice. You have to have 3 good things in order to clean off that one bad thing. Amount of good things which happened just sorted everything out. Who knows? But in general, I came out from this race quite satisfied in general. Do you want to do those type of analysis in the future as well?
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe we need to ask our followers, in order for this to continue, to leave the comments whether they like it or not. Because if no one cares, then we will just do those calls and I will skip the editing.
Yeah, fine. Yeah. In the analysis, like, what are people interested in hearing about? Like if there's stuff we haven't discussed that they would want discussed about, if they look at their own race and they're like, oh, I look at it this way, and we're not doing that, then it's interesting to find out.
Yeah, that's a good one. So with that being said, if anyone wants to say anything which we could do in the future, or which we shouldn't do, feel free to leave the comments, and we promise you that we won't take that for granted deep into our heart. Jake, thanks a lot for the time, and we will meet somewhere else in the universe.
Cool. See you later.
Bye bye.